Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today, our My Monthly Hero Make-Along. I see a few people coming in. I am Libby from Hero Arts, and I have on screen with me Seeka and Shannon, two of our artists who are going to be teaching this class today, and we're also glad that you're here. I'm going to give it a couple seconds for everyone to get on, and then we will just jump right in. Seeka's going to make a card, and then Shannon's going to make a card. And this is all using the May My Monthly Hero Kit. I'll just put up a reminder of what that looked like. It was this really fun kitchen scene that is a nice cover plate die with lots of different details, a fun background stamp that you can use for tile or different things on your cards, and then some fun messages to go along with it. So let me just see where we're at with some people joining in. And if you're here, leave us some comments so we know you're here, and let us know if you're going to be making along or just watching. We're happy to have you here watching and chatting along with us as well. And we are streaming on both Facebook and YouTube. Oh, good. I see a Facebook comment now. I was worried because I had only seen YouTube so far. So thank you guys for being here. All right. Well, I just want to show you guys. I don't know if you saw over the weekend, but we did put our, not our instructions, but our supplies that are being used today in our blog post. If you go to the Hero Arts blog, I'll go ahead and show you this real quick. Yay, technology, it worked. So here is our blog post from Saturday, and we showed what products the artists are going to be using today. Here's for Sika's card, and here is Shannon's. And they are also in thumbnails down at the bottom to make it easy to find. So if you wanted to have similar products to use today on your cards, that's where you could find them. Let me take that back out again. And it changed my whole layout. All right. So I think I'm going to just go ahead and get off screen because you guys want to see what Sika has to share today. And so let's hear from Sika.
Hi there. I hope y'all can hear me okay. I am going to make a very easy card. It's just die cutting, a little bit of stamping, and some assembly, and that's it. And then Shannon will share her beautiful card with Copic coloring. So I'm going to switch to my desktop view, and I'll meet you over there. So I've just laid out what I used for this card. You can see it's not a lot of products. You have the 3 main elements from the kit. I have some embossing and watermark ink, which we'll use for this tile background. Some citrine pigment ink, which I'll use for the sentiment, and then 3 colors of cardstock. And so these are colors that made me feel kind of bright and cheery, but you, of course, pick whatever colors you want to use that make you feel good. So go ahead and set these off. The first thing I'm going to make, I think, is the tile background. It's pretty simple to do. I'll pull over my big Misty here, and let's set that aside. So I'm going to use for this one, this is Mist cardstock. Let me just peel off my backer layer and get that kind of centered over this panel. I've taken out the foam piece of my Misty just because this is a cling stamp, so it just needs that extra space in there. And I'll treat with just an anti-static embossing tool. Okay. So I have my watermark ink here, my embossing ink, this clear ink. And I'm probably going to ink this up a couple of times just to make sure I get a really nice contact and nice and sticky for that white embossing powder. You can already see the watermark effect of this ink, this clear ink. If you wanted to, you could keep that. That kind of looks like grout to me, just a darker color grout, which is kind of cool. I think I'll go one more time. There we go. Okay, so set that aside and get my embossing powder out. I'm just using the Hero White's white embossing powder. This is my favorite white. So there's a little bit, I must have smudged over here on the right, but that's okay. In the final card, that'll be hidden by the drawers. Excuse me, I'm going to clean it up just right here a little bit of extra, and I think that will show up. There we go. Okay, set that aside, and I'm going to get my heat gun going for a minute. So I'll put myself on mute, but just heat up your heat gun so it's nice and hot, and then we'll emboss. Okay, well, don't do that, what I just did, which is I just dropped my heat gun onto my panel. So I'm just gonna fix that. Okay, let's try this again. All righty. Okay, so the back wall is done, so I'm just going to set that aside. And then the next thing I'll do is just use the main die cut from the kit to cut out the panel from white cardstock. This is it's actually everything in one, so it makes a really nice, easy cover. Do this off screen here. Oh, I don't know what I was thinking. I forgot that this is the negative. Sorry, guys. A little bit of a mess today. I have not had my second cup of coffee. What I should have done is used an A2 piece of cardstock, and this will cut out the negative. So I'll center it on an A2 panel, and then I'll just use a little bit of tape to hold it down. Sorry about that. If you kept, when this die arrived, I believe it had an A2 panel die attached to it. If you kept that on, then what I had done previously would work. That would cut out your frame for you. But I separated mine as I usually do. So run that through again. Gwen, you haven't had your first cook yet? I hope you're on the West Coast, or oh, you are in Southern California. Okay. Yeah, I'm in California too. I'm just up in Northern California, and usually I've had my second cup by now, but not today. Oh, I've done that too. I've made the hot water. Yep. Okay. Okay, now we're back on track. Separate that. I love that dye. And I'm just going to pull out this piece here. And so now we've got everything for the kitchen cabinetry and all of the accessories. I'm going to save this fallout piece because it's actually kind of perfect for die cutting my sentiment. So I'll keep that one. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just to cut a piece of papaya cardstock that will fit behind the lower cabinets. And that allows it to peek out here at the, what are these floorboards, baseboards, and in the drawers. So I just need to pop out these little pieces of the die. Okay, there we go. So this is about 2 inches, 2 and 1/8. So I'll cut that. This is just an A2 panel, so 4 1/4 by 2 1/8 or so. And that should be perfect to back this. I'm going to cut it a little bit narrower just so that it doesn't hang out on the edge. Actually, maybe there we go. That should be good. Okay. And there's that. So I'll set that aside. And then the next comes the sentiment. For this, I used an oval die from the, where did I put it? From the Nesting Ovals Infinity die set. The Infinity die sets from Hero Arts are some of the first dies I ever had from Hero because they really, they have really versatile sizes. If you have the nesting rectangle set, that would work too. Or you could just stamp the sentiment and trim it, but I thought the oval was a nice contrast to the lines of the rest. So let me go ahead and get my ink out. And I'm going to use the Have a Delicious Day. Mount that one on a block. I don't know if you can hear the meowing. I have a cat petting me on my shoulder, asking for attention. Okay. And inked that up. And now she's on my desk. I'm going to just stamp that in the middle there. Perfect. Okay. And then I'll use this die and just kind of center it. And then tape that down. So because this ink is a little bit wet with pigment ink, it won't dry as quickly as your die inks. Before I run it through the die cut machine, I'm actually just, I'm going to put a piece of scrap cardstock over it. And all that does is it's going to keep this ink from transferring to the other plate, or in my case, this magnetic pad. And it's not terrible if it does. It's really easy to wipe off. I just sometimes forget, and then it transfers to my next project. Run this through the die cut machine. Yeah, cats always know. Cats always know when you're live, when you're in a meeting with senior leaders. But they keep, they're really good company. Okay, so now we have our little sentiment. I told you this card was simple. We already have all of the elements that we need. The last things to do are just to glue some of the pieces together and then pop up the sentiment and add it to a card base. Excuse me. So I'm going to use a little bit of glue just around the bottom frame of the cabinet, and this is just so I can glue this papaya panel. I'm going to leave the oven unglued. I did not put a sentiment in this card, but you could add a secondary sentiment behind that oven door and then have it be an interactive element. And that's why I'm not adding glue, just in case I change my mind later. So I'll add this here. Wouldn't it be nice if it was this easy to change your drawer pulls in your actual kitchen? Okay. And then the next thing is to, let me flip this around because I have that boo-boo on the heat embossing. I'm just going to line that up. And before I glue it down, I just want to make sure that my panel is the right size. Sometimes I don't trim them exactly the same. Okay, that's good. That'll do. And then I'm just going to add more glue on the edges here. If you wanted to, you could pop this up. I think you'd have to use a little bit larger than an A2 panel, just so that when you cut out the frame that you have a little bit more width to attach your foam tape to. I got a little bit generous with the glue, so I'm just using my finger to spread it out a little bit so it doesn't ooze too much. Okay. And then I'm going to line it up over the back wall. And press down. I like to kind of burnish on the back to make sure I get good contact, and then be sure not to mess up any of the elements on the front. Okay, there's a background. And then the last thing is just to stamp this sentiment. So I don't know if you can tell, but it's a little bit lighter than my original card. And I think when I did this originally, I actually stamped it in a Misty and stamped it twice. But I actually like this lighter color. It's really pretty. Feels like juice to me. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for some foam tape. Is it out of focus? I do see it popping a little bit for me. I'm not able to lock my focus, but I hope it's okay. Oops. Hopefully you can still see get the general gist. Oh gosh, it really is. I'm looking up and it really is shifting focus quite a bit. Hi, Jennifer. I went to the optometrist the other day, And she must have said at least 5 times, well, at your age. So I got a new reading glasses prescription. But kind of everything is usually out of focus for me, so. Okay, so I'm just going to center this under that hood, stick it down. And then the last step is just to add this card front to a card base. So I like top folding card bases. Oh, we did a pretty good job of trimming this to A2. Okay. So I'm going to add some glue. This card base. And I like using glue here because it gives you some wiggle room, wiggle time to get it centered. There we go. I like top folding card bases. I think mostly because when I prop cards up on my desk, so when people send me cards, I like to lay them on my desk, and they just seem very stable this way. If I have them sideways, that's fine too. I don't know. It just seems more centered, I guess. But I've just gotten used to top folding card bases. There's nothing wrong with side folding. I just tend to just cut one version or buy one version here, or they sell top and side folding card bases. But I've just gotten used to them, and that's what I stick to so that I'm not having to create both. So that is it. Very basic. Again, of course, pick your own colors that you like. If you really wanted to, you could add some depth to the brick with just maybe a blue colored pencil and just adding a little bit of shading in this, the bottom left corner of each tile, but that's a lot of detail work. So lots of ways to step this up. All right. So I think we can switch back to the other camera. Hi again. So that was a very basic card. Shannon's going to show a more detailed card with really beautiful coloring. So I'm excited to see what Shannon has to share. I think we can switch to Shannon's camera. Oops, Shannon can't hear you. You might still be on mute.
There you go.
There you go.
Hi, everybody. So we're going to create a Copic colored card. This is the card we're going to make today. I'm going to try to simplify it a little bit, so it's mostly just focusing on the Copic coloring for today. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. So we're going to change cameras. Hi, Gail. Okay. I think there's a little echo. Hopefully it's not too bad. All right. So here are the colors I'm using today. Maybe I'll switch my mics. Maybe I'll do that. There. Okay, that only made it worse. So I won't do that. Okay, so these are the Copics I'm going to be using today. I've already die cut A2 panel white cardstock with the die. Let me grab it here. So here's that die that's included in the kit that Sika used as well. I just die cut an A2 panel of white cardstock with this die. I'm going to go ahead and remove my tape that I had on it. Yeah, sorry about the echo, guys. I thought that would work, but that didn't work. I don't know why the mics confuse me so much, but they do. Okay, great. So it sounds all right for you guys. Good. It just sounds a little echoey on my end, so I was trying to get rid of it, but boy, did I not get rid of it. Okay, and I'm going to try to leave this on screen, so if you do want to gather up your Copics, you can. But this is the first step, is to die cut an A2 panel of white cardstock with the cover die. And I also want to point out that this is how it was right after I pulled it out of my die cutting machine. I grabbed a piece of micro pour tape. You can see here, any washi tape would work as well. And I just added it right to the back of where the handles are, just one long piece on both sides. And that's going to hold all those inlay pieces in. So is it still out of focus? Hopefully usually the black is a little bit better at focusing. Looks same here too. Is it out of focus?
Shannon, it looks okay to me.
Okay. I just saw two people say that, and I was like, oh no. Okay. So maybe it's just loading. Sometimes when it's loading on your screen, takes a little while. But and I got one little piece pop out. That's okay. If my handles don't stay stuck in, I can pop them back in because I have that tape there. So I'm going to remove my die cut. Here we go. And I had a couple of handles pop out, like 4 of them. So most of them popped out. Now I'm just going to line it back up. And I apologize for my voice. I'm recovering from a cold, so I don't sound great, but I feel a lot better. And I just use my tweezers here to pop them back in. There we go. All right. So now we're ready to Copic color, which is kind of the main thing of today's live. Let's start with the biggest area, which is the grays. So I'm going to color my oven, my hood gray, as well as like I'll do the little espresso too. I think there's a couple, the toaster. And I have 3 grays picked out. Really any combo works, whatever you like, because if some of you are familiar with Copic coloring already, you probably have a combo of grays that you like, and that's totally fine to use those. I'm using N1 as my light, N3 as my medium, and N5 as my dark. These are supposedly neutral grays. I'm going to start with my lightest color. Keep this on screen maybe so you can see. It's an amazing dye, it really is. And I'm going to do a simple gradation, kind of dark down here and light up here. This is a big surface area. And it's okay if you even color the little burners, or maybe that's I don't know what that is called. This is what I always realize when I do lives. It's like, I don't know what any parts of things are called. I did a bird the other day, and I was talking about the feathers on the top of the bird's head. And I kept calling it a crown. Apparently it's a crest. So it's so funny how these things are. I'm like, I think I know what things are called, and then I'll do a live and I know what nothing is called. Now moving on to my medium shade, which is N3. And again, they're over here on the side. And I'm going to start from the bottom now and work up, doing that kind of feathered stroke where you get lighter, and that just helps to make an easier gradation. And it goes pretty fast. Yeah, this is an amazing dye. And so my inspiration for my palette for this, and probably just because I want this so bad in real life, is kind of a 70s palette. I'd love to have a 70s kitchen. That would be a dream for me. Oops, so I went a little retro. A lot of warm colors. I think we're going to call that done. And we'll move on to a little bit of the darkest shade. Just a little bit of this. Not going to use a lot of it at the very bottom. Again, kind of using that feathered stroke so it's a little bit lighter at the edges, like where I lift it up. That's just going to make it easier for us to blend it and get it nice and a smooth gradation later. Okay. Now I'm going to go back through my colors, back to my medium shade, which is N3. Blend out that transition between the medium and the dark. Do a little bit more. And then we'll go on to the lightest shade. Lived through the 70s and the kitchens were so cool. I would love to have one. Oh, my house was built, I do live in an old house, but it's not 70s. It's probably like 50s, 40s. But the whole kitchen was redone. So I don't even have, I would happily take an older kitchen, but my kitchen's been redone. So I don't even have the cool 40s or 50s kitchen. I got a 90s kitchen. Oh, and don't worry, this live, if I am going fast, I try to slow down, but I am kind of a speed racer. Libby said that this is going to be on replay, so you can always watch this, pause this later in the replay, and catch up if I go too fast. Okay, I'm going to call that kind of done. I feel like I want to just blend the medium a little bit more. I'm back on the medium shade. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to take my medium shade here and, excuse me, add a little shadow to some of the elements like the knobs. Just a little shading right here. That's going to make them look dimensional, like they're kind of popping out. And I'll add a little shadow underneath. I'm going to call this the handle to the oven door. There we go. And maybe even a little shadow right along this part. Avocado 50s. Yes, I would happily take that. I would be really awesome. I love that color green. All right, and then I'm just gonna take my lightest shade again and just soften up any hard edges that I might have from that medium shade, just to soften it up a little bit. And that's pretty much it for our oven. Now we're gonna move on to the hood, and it's gonna be even simpler. Same process, but even simpler. Starting again with my lightest shade. I always like to start my blends with my lightest shade. That's just how I like to Copic color. Some people start with the darkest. I'm going to turn this so it's a little bit easier for me to color. I do want to keep this border white, so first we'll just kind of sketch out that top so we have a nice like straight edge. And now I'm ready to color a little bit more recklessly. Do that feathered stroke. All right, onto our medium. N3. And they're right here. I always move things around. I forget about keeping things on screen for you guys. These are the colors. So far, we've only made it through the gray. Ah! And a tiny bit of that darkest shade, which is N5. And now I got to blend it out. Back with my medium, blending out that transition. That darker shade seems to be several notches darker, so I'm really having to blend that out more. You might not have to blend so much depending on what Copic combo of grays you've picked. And then my lightest. And that's just basically how I Copic color. I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to Copic. Like, I feel like I keep it kind of simple. I don't overcomplicate. I don't think it has to be that complicated. Okay, excuse me. Now let's move on to, since we have our grays out, let's do our gray appliances here. I have a little negative piece that I'll pull out of my toaster. And we'll quickly color that with our light. We will color the feet and handle a different color, but if you get a little bit of gray on those areas, it doesn't matter. quickly color the espresso. And this, I'm going to call it a pepper shaker. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah, just adding those little details really help to make those parts of the oven pop. Valentine medium shade, we're going to do a little bit of shading on this as well. Simple, just going to do a little gradation, darker at the base. I think I'm not going to even use my darkest shade for these gray elements, just going to do the medium. All right. When it's smaller images that I'm coloring, I usually, you can get by with fewer marker colors. Yeah, so Gail thinks it's a pepper shaker too. Pepper mill, yeah, I agree. Add a little bit of to this lid. See if I can hold it up so you guys can kind of see a little bit where I'm coloring. And along the side here on both sides. All right, and then we'll move on to the light just to blend it out a tiny bit. Mostly just if there's any hard edges you don't like, you can kind of blend it out a bit. Okay. And I think I'm even going to color this little top of this jar real quick. All right, now stop there. I don't even need to blend that out. It's so tiny. There we go. So we got all our gray things kind of colored. Now let's move on to trying to think of what's got the most. So let's do the wood. That's a little bit more complicated. So that's our browns. E31, E35, E37, and E29. Basically a light, two mediums, and a dark. I have more colors this time because we are trying to create wood grain. I'm going to start with my light again, which is E31. And we're going to color these shelves. We're going to make them look like wood shelves. And we'll also color the countertops. We'll make them wood countertops. I'm going to start by laying down just kind of the outline. So I don't color beyond it. I find that a little bit easier to kind of lay that down and then color. There we go. And you can tape if you want to mask, you can tape. I'm just trying to simplify. Now we're going to go on to our, excuse me, sorry. E35, and just kind of drag it across, doing that kind of flick, even out a little, there we go. So it's kind of streaky. I'm going to hold it up here so you can see. See, it's a little streaky. It's already starting to look like wood grain, just with those two shades, I think. Now on to E37. And I'm on to, this is still a Copic marker. It's just a Chow, if you may have seen them before. I think I'm not going to even use my 29. I think I'm going to just use 3. So this is looking dark enough to me. Now here's where I want to be a little bit more careful and try to get a finer line. Hi, Maria. So I'm just being very light with my pressure and being cautious, not adding too many lines. But if you don't like if you feel like you got too heavy-handed, you can kind of pick it up with your lighter shades. So that's kind of what it looks like. And I think that looks good. But if you felt like this was too heavy-handed, you can go back with your lightest shade and go over it, and that will kind of pick up some of that darker color. But you know, I think that looks all right. I'm not unhappy with that. So we didn't use this one, so I'm just going to cross it out so it's not confusing. That's all we use, just 3 shades. All right, I'm going to repeat this process now. Let's just go ahead and do the other side so we're balanced. Exactly the same thing. Kind of laying down that outline first. And it's not perfect, so don't feel like yours has to be perfect. I promise you, my edges are not perfectly straight. Look, that's definitely not straight. Don't worry about it. Don't stress. I think it's okay. I always start from the sides and kind of pull it in, pull it across, and then I might add a couple streaks in the middle, just a little bit. Now moving on to the 37. Excuse me, guys. I had a lot of coughs, so I took myself on mute. I know. I'm gonna get a cough drop real quick. I apologize. It just came on all of a sudden.
I don't know about you guys, but sometimes this time of year, the allergies really get to me, especially in California.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I felt like I was getting better, and then it was just coming and going. But this cold is really got me.
No worries, Shannon.
Okay. So now I'm just going to repeat that process. And I'm going to try not to talk for a moment. And read you guys' comments. I know, I thought I was, I've had this for several days, and I keep waking up and I'm like, I'm better today. And then later I'm like, I guess I'm not better.
You'll get there.
I know, it's just frustrating. It's like,
And the coughs can be sneaky. Sometimes they don't bother you until you have to talk.
exactly. Like I really haven't been coughing today. And then all of a sudden that tickle in my throat. And I was like, oh no, it's not going to go away. I'm going to have to cough it out. But I'm okay. All right, so we're just moving along, just repeating that process. We only have, I think, just those 2 more to go. That sounds good. I should try that. Okay. Almost done with wood grain. And that's really kind of the bulk of everything. We just have these little like items on the shelf to color. Let me hold it up so you can kind of see. I'm not going to do anything with them, Gwen. I'm just leaving them alone. That whole bottom half is pretty much done. You could do more if you wanted to, but I'm keeping it white on white. Like you see here. I didn't do anything to the handles. I did use a different combo of gray markers on this. That's why this one's warmer. But I'm out of those Copics, so I had to switch to some different grays. But it's just a cooler gray combo, that's all. I need to get some more refills for those. Yeah, isn't it nice? It adds so much warmth and texture with that wood grain. I really like it. Okay, let's move on to just pick a color here. We'll do red. And I have 3 colors for red picked out, starting with R22. And we're coloring the apples, the vase, and I seriously don't know what this is, so we're going to color that too. Oops, I started coloring the bowl. Okay, so we're going to have a red bowl, and then we'll have yellow apples. That works. Yellow apples are actually my favorite. Those golden delicious, those are my favorite. So this will be a little different, that's okay. I'm gonna do all my red things, just lay kind of that light down just to get it kind of done and over with. Yellow or green, exactly, they could be either. My head, of course, just goes very traditional. I'm like, red apples. We're gonna have yellow, and I think that'd actually be better. Oh yeah, they could be green. They definitely could be. I have a green combo picked out too. Okay. The tickle is gone. I'm happy about that. We're moving on to our medium shade. Oh my gosh, we're running out of time too. Probably didn't help that I coughed so much. I hope we're probably over an hour. I was a little bit worried about that.
Shannon, we have plenty of time. Sometimes we go 2 hours, so just take your time.
Oh my gosh, okay. I don't think it will take me that long, but
yeah, and my card was super quick, so we'll hang out as long as you need.
Okay, great. So I'm just coloring in the sides a little bit with my medium shade. And I think I actually should go a little bit further in now that I'm looking at it. I think I'm just going to use 2 shades actually. for these reds, and that's mostly because I didn't do I didn't make the apples red. So we'll just do 2 shades. I love having fewer markers. I think that's great. But these are so small, you don't have to have a lot of. Add a little bit at the bottom. I will blend this out, so we will do that. Is that a peppermill too? Is that what that is? I don't know. You could totally color that whatever you think it is.
It does kind of remind me of the salt grinders. When I was growing up, we had an acrylic. I think it was acrylic. It was kind of clear, and then it had that clear top.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could put some coarse or salt chunks. I know that's not the right word, but and then grind your salt just like you would grind your pepper.
And I just quickly blended out the transition back with my lightest shade, which was R22. And those are our red parts done. So now we're moving on to, let's just go straight for yellow. Excuse me. I have, my yellows are, my light is Y21 and YR23. I'll have to make a mental note that if I have even an inkling of a cough, maybe I can't do a live. I apologize, guys. I really thought I was on the mend. Well, I think I am, but I think it's the amount of talking that I didn't quite consider. So quickly lay down that light. And now I'm moving on to YR23, which is my dark. I love this combo. It's kind of a golden yellow combo. I love it so much. I use it a lot. So I'm adding shading to the apples. So I'm coloring basically the bottom of them with that darker color. And I'm just going to color the, kind of make a circle here. Let's see if we can do that. I'll color the center orange, but I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, I just blended a little bit with my lightest shade. And now we're ready for, that's it for yellow. Let's move on to green. Just 2 colors for green. Me too, I wish I had an apple, sounds really good. Probably really good for me. Gonna color this bottle here. There's like a little cork that I'm gonna color brown too. It's at the very tip top. You could color the whole thing green though if you wanted to. It just looks also like the top of the bottle. We're gonna do the little tops of the apples. There's some leaves. Do our flower here too. Now my medium shade, or my dark shade, I guess, because it's just 2 colors, is YG67. I'm gonna color the sides. the stem and a little bit of the leaves. I'm going to hold up so you can kind of see. And you can see how harsh the lines are. I'm now going to blend that out. Yeah, it could be allergies. I did, of course, take my COVID test. I don't have COVID. But I'm not even entirely, like, I haven't figured out my allergies yet enough to know if it's allergies or a cold or what. I think it's actually a cold because my daughters were sick. So that's probably what it is. All right, so that part's done. Just quickly blend it out. You can see by that lighter shade really helped to kind of blend that out. And what am I doing now? Well, we have our orange. That's kind of our last combo. YR00 and YR2. I'm going to use the orange to color whatever this is over here and add something inside this jar. Oh, your daughter has COVID, Melissa. I'm sorry. I hope she starts feeling better soon. Yeah, I had fun with this color palette. Like I said, kind of 70s inspired. Holding it up, I noticed I missed a little spot. Possibly our pepper mill. Or salt mill. Now, remember that flower center? Grab that darker shade of orange and just color that in. So we have one last thing to color as well as our little black accents, at least on this die cut. That's this, I believe this is a little sugar bowl. I'm going to keep it white. But to add a shadow, I'm going to use a very light blue. So just color the sides, that really light blue. And I'm going to actually blend it out with a little colorless blender. It looks a little harsh. I didn't get it out, so I got to grab it real quick. And then there is a spoon in there. So I'm going to grab one of my grays. Let's do the medium shade. Just color this little spoon. That's it, just a little gray on there. And that's pretty much it. We'll grab our black. Okay, we'll do our black details. But like, even though there's a lot of elements on here, you can kind of selectively choose what you Copic color by keeping the cabinets white. That cut out a lot of Copic coloring. And you could even made it simpler by using like colored cardstock for maybe the oven or the hood. Instead of coloring it completely gray, maybe use gray cardstock. That's an option too. So if you want to reduce the amount of Copic coloring, but still get a lot of colors on this die cut, you could do something like that. All right, here's black. So I'm coloring, I'm gonna put a piece of white paper underneath it here. It's gonna be kind of hard to see where I'm coloring the black. Let's see if I have a scrap piece here. This will work. I'm going to color, do it that way so it's not so busy. These, I don't know, gosh. The grill part of your stove. Sorry, I don't know what that part is called. The little feet on the toaster, the handle on the espresso machine or espresso, stovetop espresso maker. Burners. Thank you, Gail. Gosh, I tell you, it's so funny when you realize you don't know what things are called that you use every day. I'm like, oh, yeah, I have no idea what that's called. Now, this is the time, like, I haven't really bothered to color the sides of anything, like held it up and colored the sides. This might be the one time where you would try to color the sides of your paper. Words are hard. Yeah. For some of us, like me, words are hard. There's a lot of them. You don't have to, though. To me, that white really stands out next to the black, but on any other areas, it doesn't stand out so much. This is tricky, so you can just not do it if it seems too hard. But you can see I'm holding it up and just kind of rubbing my marker tip along the sides to get those parts colored. And you, of course, could do this for everywhere. If that white edge bothers you, you can do it on all the parts that you colored, but that's the only one I'm going to do it for is the black. Let's do the little feet here on the toaster. And some of these things could have just stayed white maybe, but I'm going to color it. And I even did the little top of the espresso maker. I know what that is called because I was once a barista. In a life long ago, we didn't use those. We had an espresso machine, but we sold those, so I knew what those were at least. Okay, that's it. Nope, I missed a little spot on the toaster handle. That's all our black parts. So there's one other element or thing we're going to color, and that is a turkey. So I got to die cut that out of white cardstock real quick. I have a teeny little scrap here. You don't need much. Let me run that through. All right, there's our super cute little turkey. I love this little die so much. And so he's pretty simple. Oh, I do remember I forgot to do my cork. I'll do that real quick. Just grab a brown. That's all you just color a little brown. That's it. That's all you need to do for something so tiny. You don't have to do gradations or any shading. All right, so the turkey. Let me get this scrap out of here. Let's grab our browns again. Same three, the 31, 35, and 37. Starting with the 31, E31, which is my lightest. Oh, good, Polly. I'm glad this is helpful. This is a good one to start with because even though it's a full panel, essentially, it's a full panel die cut, there's not a lot of coloring, really. You know, there's not that much. So it's a good one to kind of, you know, start with, kind of sink your teeth into a little bit. So just color that all with the lightest shade. Yeah, I think coloring die cuts, these full panel ones, are really worth the effort because they really do bring the die cut to life. There are a lot of, and I think you can just have a lot of fun. E35, medium shade. So I'm not going to do just a blanket gradation over this per se. I'm going to color along the top of the turkey and then the wing and the drum. or the leg, I guess. Get on top of this wing here so that adds definition to that. All right. And we'll even do a little bit of our darkest shade. And we will blend this out. I know it's kind of harsh right now. Just a tiny bit. I'll hold it up to the camera. You can see how little I actually colored with this darkest brown. Just a little bit of that dark, dark brown. Now it's time to blend it out. So going back to my medium shade. Blending out that transition between the medium and the dark. So just basically going right, because that dark is such a small, like, vein of it, line of it, basically going right over that dark. Okay. And then last, our lightest shade, B31. Oh, great. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. Good. Really blending it out here. And that's going to be it. Our cute little turkey. Now we have the platter. I decided to go with green just to incorporate a little bit more green into my palette, or my overall card, because I just had it in 2 places. So I wanted to balance it out with a green platter. Same 2 colors, G43 first. Just going to lay down my light. Now on to our darker shade, YG67. I'm going to color the bottom of the platter and the sides. Try to do that feathered stroke because that's really going to help to blend out the transition between those. Then lastly, just kind of blend it out with that light again. And there's our little turkey on the platter. And that will go kind of on top of the range. So that was the bulk of it right there of our card. Now we just have our background. I've opted for a yellow tiled background. I feel that's very fitting for my 70s kitchen. And I'm going to do it tone on tone. So I chose a this butter bar to stamp on top of this mustard cardstock. Excuse me. Put everything aside here, make some room. When you're done with this, I'm going to take out my mouse pad. I do have a Misty, this isn't necessary per se, but I like it. This is a Misty sticky pad, matte, I think that's what they call it specifically. I'm just going to hold my panel in place while I stamp that background. Now I'm going to do this a little bit differently because I'm going to do, this stamp is all kind of, all the tile is horizontal. I'm going to do it vertical. And it's not going to cover the whole background, totally fine, because of the die. We only need about a little bit more than halfway, and it will. And this is just because I like that look of the vertical tile. I think that is cool. If I could get vertical tile, I would. Kind of center it here. I mean, it's plenty. Gonna cover more than enough. Pick it up with my Misty. Make sure my now my kitty's gonna come talk to us. I'm gonna ink this up with my ink, and I will stamp this a couple of times to get it nice and dark. Just hopefully she doesn't rub on my camera stand, which is what she's doing. Super fantastic. Polly said she had vertical tiles put in her kitchen redo. Ooh, I love that, Polly. I would love to do that. That'd be awesome. I agree with Sika 100%. I wish it was this easy to change my kitchen. I'm gonna stamp it one more time. It's nice and dark. This will actually dry lighter. I'm gonna stamp it one more time. Looks like I'm a little crooked, but that's okay. It's a little crooked, but it ain't that bad. And you could have done like what Sika was mentioning in her live is you could do, oh, okay, but she's not rubbing on the same. You could do instead of doing like a tone on tone ink, you could opt for using embossing and watermark ink, which that would work too because you'd get the same look. The only thing is that ink is a little stickier, so it kind of takes longer to dry. That's the only downfall. But that's a great option because all of a sudden it opens up. Basically, you don't have to have a ink that matches your cardstock. You've got an ink that works for every cardstock, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna pull this away. The cat thinker talked to them. That must be it. They're like, hey, you've been talking a long time. You're trying to communicate with me? So I will admit, in the original card, we're going to do couple things differently. Now you can see how much it changes. Totally normal. I did do this. This is definitely an extra step. And this is totally what Sika was actually talking about too in her live, is you can add definition to your tiles. If this just seems like too much, which I understand, I know what I do sometimes is too much for some people, and that's totally okay. But I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to try to do it in a fast way so you can see how quickly it can be done. I have a Copic marker here that's a little bit darker than this yellow cardstock. And I'm going to add a little shadow to the tile. Obviously, I don't have to do all the tile, but I do have to do a lot of it. I'm going to go just like straight down and then across. But I'm going to just keep it on the left side of the tile. So kind of go down and add that shadow. First, I'll do that on all of them vertically. Nope, she's just rubbing against the. We'll even do this one here, even though probably won't really see it. But I do think this adds a little bit more interest to that background. It really does make these tiles start to pop a little bit more. And I'm definitely not doing it perfectly, so don't feel like this has to be perfect. Some have a little bit more Copic on them than the others. Oh no, now she's going to come up here. Don't come up here. Oh, well, now my kitty's going to be up here. She likes to knock things over. So.
Shannon, I'm always impressed with your coloring, but I'm super impressed with your ability to draw lines vertically.
I do have an art background. I won't lie. I've learned how in drawing they teach you how to keep you're moving from your shoulder,
right,
great, but so now I'm going to go across horizontally. I need to let my marker get some ink down to the tip of it here. Oh no! Yep, just knocking things over. Melody. Not right now. And she's pretty snorty because she's an exotic, so she has like that shorter snout. You see my marker tip is like, you're trying to color too fast. Maybe I probably just need to put more ink in there. No.
She sees the turkey.
I think that'll do it. It just it's very subtle, admittedly, but it does add a lot of interest, I think, to those tiles. And definitely not perfect. You can see here that's not great right there, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. They say you should move your finger and not keep it stay. Oh, your shoulder, not to your fingers. There you go. See, Jennifer knows too. So I did also pop this up with foam adhesive, but admittedly that's tricky. I cut little strips here and there, but let's just glue it down. There's no reason why it has to be popped up. It'll mail better and it'll look, I think, just as good glued straight down to the card base. So we'll do that little switch there. But there's also one other thing we need to add. I like to add a little bit of colored cardstock behind here. I don't know why. To me, it just grounds everything a little bit better. So I have a tiny bit of sand cut out already. See, it's a little bit bigger than a 1/4 inch. What do we have here? Like 3/8 of an inch. A 1/4 inch is just maybe a tiny bit too small. It could even be bigger than this, but I just cut that size. And we're going to glue that to the very bottom here. I'm going to grab some liquid adhesive. Yeah, exactly, Melissa. She knows I'm live. She wants to make sure everybody else knows that she's here too. You could color it, Melissa. Yes, you could color it if you wanted to. Totally. But I'm doing it on top of yellow cardstock, so that would limit what I could color it, maybe. My color options anyways. It'd have to be darker than the yellow. Now I'm just going to glue this down. And we are on home. Oh, we do have to stamp our sentiment, but that's all right. And we're on home stretch. All right. Liquid glue does rock. I love it so much. It's changed. I got a little speckle of something here. It's my favorite way to glue things down because I need that wiggle room. I need that little bit of wiggle time. Oh, look at those colors. I love it so much. So warm. And even though I did get it crooked, it doesn't look crooked. Like, it looks pretty straight. Yeah, I like that strip, and I really think it grounds it. It's just a small detail, but I think it makes a huge difference. Now, let's go ahead and just do our turkey too while we're at it. Let's place it right on top in between, center between those burners. A lot of kitty camos today. All right, now we just have our sentiment. Just gonna grab, I chose You Bake the World, let's see if I can say this. You Bake the World a Butter Place. You could do, oh my gosh, I love that idea, Wendy. She suggested you could do bunting. That would be so cute. That would look great. Where is the, Is it? Yeah. Let me grab my other Misty. Oh, isn't that great? This set I think is great for cooks or hostess friends. Center it here in that opening. I gotta stand up to do this. Can't get the, that's a big trick, I think, helpful tip is to stand up to when you're centering things. Oh, look, and it's not centered in my Misty. That could be a problem. Let's fix that. And then I'm just gonna stamp it in black. I'm gonna use party invite cards. That's a really good idea. Use Hero Arts Intens-ified black. Bunting's like a banner kind of. Usually they're like triangles and hung on a string, I think. I'm notorious. My family jokes how I always get I don't check my autocorrect mistakes. Autocorrect gets me in trouble all the time. I could definitely understood it wrong, but that's what I understood. Say it one more time. Ooh, it's not focusing. Why are you not focusing? All right, and then of course I would just glue this onto my card base, which I have over here on the side, so I can do that real quick. And my card could have been made out of the mustard cardstock, but so I'll be honest, this mustard cardstock is my favorite. I love it so much, so I use it sparingly. So I may always have enough of it because I love this color so much. Oh, I got it wrong. So Wendy's telling me I got it wrong. She says, add a cake instead of a turkey. Yes. Well, there's muffins. I wonder if you could turn the turkey. I don't know if you could turn the turkey. Oh, but there's a pie. There's a pie for this set too. Where are the dies? So I can show you the other things. There's not just a turkey. Well, they grew legs and walked away somewhere. Oh, here they are. I see them underneath my Copics. So there's the turkey. There's the pie. And there's muffins. And even a little bread for your toaster. Is that cute? And a couple pots. I use the pots a lot in another card I made with this set. Because I love those pots. I've made them look kind of like 70s fondue pots. Can't hold that down. Yes, white card bases are great for sentiments. That's true. For writing on the inside, it makes it easy. Thank you, Patty. I apologize for the coughing. I'm sure nobody wanted to hear that. I really thought I was on the, I wasn't going to cough. I'm a glass half full girl. Like, it's fine. I'll be fine. It's great. All right, there's the finished card. All right, so I'm ready for the camera to go back at me, I guess. There we go. Get that stand out of the way. Ugh. How do I look after a coughing spell? All right, that's it. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed creating with the kit. This is such a fun one. I almost think I like it better flat than I do with the foam. I mean, the foam looks good. Don't get me wrong, but this looks great. Nice and, how do I hold this? There we go, flat. And I loved Sika's card. I loved her colors, blue and orange. That's always an awesome combo. And it's a very beautiful kind of modern, clean, and simple card. Looks so pretty. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm sorry it was over, and but I again, if anything was a little too fast, there's a replay for this, and so you can pause and watch it over again later. All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time.